Welcome to Dark Knight, where strategy meets shadows. Today I'll show you the French defense. White plays pawn to e4, controlling the center and opening up space for their queen and bishop. Black replies with pawn to e6, preparing to challenge white control of the center, and it also opens up the diagonals for our queen and dark squared bishop. White then plays pawn to d4, gaining even more control of the center, and has opened up the diagonal for their dark squared bishop. Then black plays the aggressive pawn to d5, challenging white's center and opening up the diagonal for, oh, nothing. Oh well. Now white has two options here. They can either capture the pawn, and if they do so we can just recapture, and then we begin to develop our knights and bishops, which white will probably start doing as well. To the center of the board, where they are more active and can move to more spaces. However, let's say white does not capture and instead advances forward, known as the advance variation for obvious reasons. We then move our pawn to c5, attacking the back of their pawn chain. Now if you don't know what a pawn chain is basically this. As you can see, these three pawns here are lined up together like a chain, which is a very strong defensive wall. However, the back of the chain, as you've noticed, is pretty weak, because nothing's protecting this pawn here except the queen, and obviously they're not going to want to lose the queen if that means saving the pawn. Now white will probably reply with knight to f3, protecting this pawn, but then we reply with knight to c6, putting even more pressure on the pawn. We have double attack and double defense. Now if white captures, we can win back the pawn by doing check. White will block, and we can capture this pawn, and our queen is in the game. However, let's say white so decides not to capture. It's white's turn. Oh, let's say white defends their pawn chain here, then we can capture. If they capture back, we can do check. They block, and then we can move our queen into the game somewhere. We're like back here, attacking this pawn here, which means if they don't notice, and let's say they move to here, we can capture it, and the rook is done for. And if they still don't notice, the rook's done for. Well, what do you think of the French defense? Let me know in the comments, and thanks for watching.